Right now, if you are over the age of 65, your financial institution has the legal right to freeze, delay, or entirely block a transaction on your own account. And the majority of older adults have absolutely no idea this is occurring. 5 specific fraud schemes are what drove this into reality, and one of them can completely wipe out your account in less than 45 minutes with zero possibility of recovering that money. Stay with this video all the way through because the final one is the very reason banks were granted this authority to begin with. Hi, I'm Lana Maines. What I focus on with this channel is precisely this: emerging threats, updated regulations, and new protections that seniors need to be aware of before it turns into a problem for you or for someone close to you. So if that sounds like something you need, go ahead and hit subscribe right now. Banks are not placing restrictions on seniors to penalize them. They are restricting the specific types of transactions that fraud networks are currently exploiting to drain accounts belonging to older adults. The restriction is not directed at you. It is directed at the method being used to steal your money. Understanding that distinction is what separates a protected account holder from the next name listed in a federal fraud report. Before we get into the 5 schemes, let me tell you about Diane. She is 71 years old, a retired postal worker from Dayton, Ohio, with a checking account at the same credit union for 29 years. Last February, she received a phone call from someone claiming to represent her bank's fraud department. He told her the account had been flagged and that in order to protect her funds, she needed to withdraw $4,800 in cash and deposit it into a secure holding account using a machine located at a pharmacy just 2 miles from her home. Diane did exactly what she was instructed. She drove to the pharmacy. She stood at a machine she had never used before while the caller remained on the line and guided her through every single step. The man on the phone never raised his voice. He thanked her for her cooperation, told her the bank appreciated customers who took their security seriously, and remained calm and professional the entire time, which is precisely what made it so convincing. 6 minutes later, $4,800 was gone. Her credit union cannot retrieve it. Law enforcement cannot retrieve it. Diane did absolutely nothing wrong. She followed directions from someone who sounded exactly like her bank, used authentic banking language, and never once triggered a warning sign she had been told to watch for. Because the warning signs most seniors are taught to recognize are outdated ones, poor grammar, foreign accents, obvious high-pressure tactics, this caller displayed none of those. That machine was a cryptocurrency ATM. And the scheme that targeted Diane is now the #1 fraud method being used against seniors in 2026, according to the American Bankers Association and the U.S. Secret Service. That is precisely what today's video is going to prevent. Federal and state elder financial protection laws have been in place for years, but 2026 introduced something new. Formal FDIC guidance specifically authorizing banks to flag, delay, or block transactions that match documented patterns of elder exploitation. This is not a glitch in your account, and it is not discrimination based on age. It is a direct policy response to a documented and ongoing crisis. The legal foundation is the Elder Justice Act, originally passed in 2010 and reinforced through more recent federal guidance, which gives banks legal standing to delay or block a transaction whenever there is reasonable suspicion that financial exploitation is taking place. On top of that, the FDIC formalized 2026 guidance instructing banks on exactly which transaction patterns to flag, and the American Bankers Association published a formal alert identifying 5 fraud methods actively being used against senior account holders. In practical terms, this means a bank teller or an automated monitoring system can now legally pause a withdrawal, a wire transfer, or a card transaction on your account for a brief period, sometimes a few business days, without your explicit approval, specifically to give the institution time to confirm the transaction is genuinely coming from you. Most states that have adopted this framework also require the bank to notify you and, where one is on file, your trusted contact within a specified window once a transaction has been paused. This represents a meaningful shift from how banking operated even 5 years ago, when a bank had very limited legal room to question a customer's own instructions regarding their own money. The 5 fraud methods driving this shift are what we are breaking down right now, counting down from 5 to 1. One quick note before we begin. If you rely primarily on Social Security or a pension, these criminal networks target you because your deposit schedule is publicly available, and fraudsters monitor it to know exactly when your balance is at its highest. If you are a more financially comfortable retiree with savings or a paid-off home, you are targeted because your funds are simply larger and easier to move quickly. Neither group is safe by default, so pay close attention to all five. It also helps to understand where these criminals obtain your name and contact information in the first place, because it is rarely random. Fraud rings routinely purchase what are known as aged lists from data brokers. These are compiled lists of names, phone numbers, and estimated net worth built from public records, warranty registration cards, sweepstakes entries, and even donation histories from charities that tend to attract older donors. Once your name lands on one of these lists, it gets resold and circulated among multiple criminal operations for years, which is part of why the calls almost never stop after just one bad encounter. Registering your number on the National Do Not Call Registry and opting out of the major data broker websites will not eliminate the calls entirely, but it measurably reduces how frequently your information gets refreshed and resold to new criminal networks. That brings us to fraud scheme number 5, and this one does not require a phone or a computer at all. It happens directly in front of you. Fraud scheme number 5 is ATM card skimming, combined with what investigators refer to as the helpful stranger trap. A physical skimming device gets attached to the card reader, capturing your card data the instant you insert it. A hidden camera or a positioned accomplice records your PIN as you type it in. Within hours, a cloned card is in circulation and your account is being drained. The helpful stranger component works like this. Someone approaches while you are at the machine, pretends to notice you having difficulty, and offers assistance. That offer has one single purpose. Either it allows them to observe you entering your PIN, or it creates a moment of distraction during which your card gets swapped out or retained by the machine. The ABA documented a specific surge in these incidents at pharmacy and grocery store ATMs throughout 2025 and 2026, timed almost precisely to coincide with benefit payment dates. The solution is straightforward. Stay at the machine until your transaction is completely finished and your card is back in your possession. Never walk away from an ATM in the middle of a transaction. If something goes wrong, do not accept assistance from anyone standing nearby. Contact your bank directly using the number printed on the back of your card, and shield the keypad with your entire hand on every single keystroke, not a partial cover every single time. If you rely on regular cash withdrawals, pharmacy and grocery store ATMs represent your highest risk points because they are the least closely monitored. Use a branch ATM located inside a bank lobby whenever that option is available. If you use ATMs less frequently, your exposure is greatest on the specific days when you do withdraw larger amounts, because those are exactly the transactions that pattern monitoring criminals are watching for. Moving on to fraud scheme number 4. The same criminals running physical skimming operations have now upgraded to a device your eye literally cannot detect. Fraud scheme number 4 is card shimming. Unlike a skimmer, which attaches to the outside surface of a machine, a shimmer is a paper-thin device that slides inside the card slot itself, reading the chip embedded in your card as you insert it, completely invisible to any customer inspecting the machine from the outside. Both the FDIC and the ABA documented a significant increase in shimming cases in 2025 and 2026 aimed specifically at seniors. And the reason is almost mathematical in its logic. Social Security deposits arrive on a federally published schedule, the second, third, or fourth Wednesday of the month depending on your birth date, and SSI payments post on the first. Criminals cross-reference these publicly available schedules to know precisely which days accounts sit at their highest available balance, and they deploy shimming devices at high-traffic senior locations on exactly those days. Pause for a moment and pull up your actual bank balance right now, not last month's statement, but the number currently sitting in your account today. Because what comes next about setting up transaction alerts depends on how your account is currently configured. If you have never set up a transaction alert before, this is worth completing before you finish watching this video, not sometime later this week, because a shimming device installed today could already be reading cards by tomorrow morning. Here is how you defend against shimming. Before inserting your card anywhere outside of a bank lobby, grip the card reader firmly and give it a solid wiggle. A housing that shifts or feels loose indicates a device may be concealed inside. Stick to ATMs located inside bank branches whenever possible, since those machines receive daily physical inspections from branch staff, and set up a transaction alert through your bank's mobile app or by calling your branch directly, so any transaction above a threshold you select, even as low as $1, sends an instant notification to your phone. That alert becomes your real-time account monitor. If you depend on your benefit deposit being immediately accessible, the days right after your deposit date represent your highest risk window, so use a branch ATM exclusively during that stretch. If you use multiple payment terminals throughout your regular errands, the gas station pump is your riskiest point of contact, so pay inside the store whenever you have that option available. From here, we move into fraud scheme number 3, and this is where everything shifts entirely to the telephone. No physical device required at all, just a carefully written script. A fraudster calls using any of the pretexts already discussed: an IRS debt that must be resolved today, a utility shutoff that is about to happen, a grandchild caught in legal trouble, or an account that has been compromised. The specific story does not matter. What matters is that it manufactures an emergency requiring an immediate cash payment through a method only the caller controls. The senior is directed to withdraw a specific amount of cash and drive to a cryptocurrency ATM, a machine that looks like a standard ATM and is frequently tucked inside a pharmacy, a grocery store, or a convenience store. The caller remains on the line for the entire drive, blocking any outside contact and narrating every single step of the process. At the machine, the senior is instructed to scan a QR code displayed on the screen. That code is the fraudster's personal digital wallet address. The moment cash is fed into the machine and the transaction is confirmed, the money converts into cryptocurrency and lands in that wallet instantly and without any possibility of reversal. Cryptocurrency operates on a blockchain network, not through a traditional banking institution, which means there is no organization with the authority to freeze, reverse, or recall the transfer in any way. Your bank cannot get it back. The FBI cannot get it back. The FTC cannot get it back. Once that cash enters the machine and that code has been scanned, the funds typically move through several additional digital wallets within minutes. That is a process criminals use specifically to break the transaction trail before any investigator could realistically trace the funds back to an identifiable person. By the time a victim's family or a bank's fraud team even becomes aware that something has happened, the money has often already changed hands 2 or 3 additional times, which is a significant part of why recovery rates on these cases are close to zero. The money belongs to someone who will likely never be identified, and the transaction is completely permanent. That is why 30 states passed cryptocurrency ATM restriction laws by May of 2026, with Indiana becoming the first state to ban them for senior-directed transactions entirely back in March. Tennessee and Minnesota subsequently followed with their own separate restrictions. The ABA has formally identified cryptocurrency ATM fraud as the fastest-growing senior exploitation method currently documented anywhere in the country. And the Secret Service has issued specific published warnings regarding this exact scheme. Hold on to this single fact above everything else in this video. No government agency will ever instruct you to pay a debt, a fine, a tax bill, or a utility bill through a cryptocurrency ATM. The IRS accepts payment through irs.gov by personal check or by money order. The Social Security Administration does not collect any payments through ATMs of any kind. No legitimate court, utility company, or law enforcement office has any kind of cryptocurrency payment process in place. If a caller ever directs you toward one of these machines, the call is a scam, full stop, and it ends immediately. Contact your branch and ask whether they offer a voluntary elder financial protection flag on your account. Many institutions allow you to add a trusted contact who gets notified before large cash withdrawals are processed, and some allow you to set a self-imposed withdrawal limit that requires in-branch verification above a certain dollar amount. It is important to understand clearly what a trusted contact can and cannot do. They have absolutely zero access to your money and cannot execute a single transaction on your behalf. Their only role is to answer the phone when your bank's fraud monitoring system flags something that appears unusual so that a real human being who actually knows you can confirm whether what is happening is legitimate before the money leaves your account permanently. Setting this up typically takes approximately 10 minutes at a branch location and requires nothing more than the name and phone number of the individual you choose to designate. These protections are entirely voluntary, and your bank will not proactively call to inform you that they exist. You have to ask for them yourself. Smaller cryptocurrency ATM transactions, typically falling between $500 and $3,000, tend to target lower-income retirees and get framed as urgent utility payments or benefit-related fees. Larger amounts framed as tax debts or legal fees go after retirees with more visible savings balances. Diane in Dayton was targeted for a $4,800 account security transfer. She did absolutely nothing wrong, and neither did anyone else this has happened to. One more thing worth knowing before we close. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center reported that Americans over the age of 60 lost more than $4.8 billion to fraud during 2025 alone. And cryptocurrency-related schemes accounted for the single largest share of that total. If you or someone you care about has already been targeted, even without actually losing any money, the National Elder Fraud Hotline at 833-372-8311 is staffed specifically to help seniors navigate exactly these types of situations, and it is completely free to call. That closes every thread from everything we have covered throughout this video. The phone call in Scheme 3 was always building toward directing victims to that machine. The urgency embedded in the grandparent scam in Scheme 2 exists specifically to stop you from thinking clearly long enough to question a cryptocurrency ATM instruction. The physical card schemes in 4 and 5 are lower yield versions of the same underlying objective. Every scheme on this list leads to one of two outcomes: a drained account that can potentially get reversed or blocked, or a drained account that is gone forever. Now you know exactly which outcome belongs to which scheme. Here is the unified defense. 5 rules that stop all 5 schemes simultaneously. Rule 1. Your physical card never leaves your hand for any reason at any location. Not for a bank employee standing outside a teller window, not for a helpful stranger at a machine, and not for someone claiming to be a technician. This rule alone shuts down Fraud Scheme 5 completely. Rule 2. Before inserting your card anywhere outside a bank lobby, grip the card reader firmly and pull. If it shifts or feels loose, walk away immediately. Set a transaction alert for every purchase above $1. That alert is your real-time account monitor, and it shuts down Fraud Scheme 4. Rule 3. The moment a caller claims to represent your bank's fraud department and pushes urgency combined with an instruction to stay on the line, hang up immediately and call the number printed on the back of your card, never the number that originally called you. This shuts down Fraud Scheme 3 entirely. Rule 4. Choose a family-safe word before you ever need it, and apply a strict 24-hour rule to any wire transfer or large withdrawal requested over the phone, regardless of how urgent the situation is presented as being. The word defeats the impersonation attempt. The 24-hour waiting period defeats the pressure that makes the whole scheme function. This shuts down Fraud Scheme 2. Rule 5. A cryptocurrency ATM equals fraud every single time without exception. No agency, court, utility company, or bank has any legitimate reason to send you to one of those machines, regardless of how the request is worded or how much authority the caller claims to carry. If anyone directs you toward one, end all contact immediately and call your bank using the number on your card, never a number the caller provides to you. This shuts down Fraud Scheme 1 and protects you from exactly what happened to Diane. Now here is the action checklist, the precise steps to take before this video is over. Step 1. Call your branch directly and ask what elder financial protection options are available on your account. Ask specifically about a trusted contact designation, a voluntary cash withdrawal limit, and a transaction alert threshold that you personally control. Use the phrase elder financial protection. That is the exact program category your bank's compliance team is trained to recognize immediately. Step 2. Choose your family safe word today. Share it with every relative who would be your first phone call in a genuine emergency. Keep it written down somewhere private inside your home. Never store it digitally anywhere. Step 3. Set up a transaction alert on your account through your bank's mobile app or by calling the branch directly for every transaction above a threshold you select yourself. $1 is the most protective setting available, and your phone effectively becomes your personal account monitor. Step 4. Identify which ATMs you currently use on a regular basis and switch to branch ATMs located inside bank lobbies wherever that option exists. If you regularly use a pharmacy ATM, note the specific location and ask your bank whether that particular machine has appeared in any recent fraud alerts in your area. Step 5. If you are ever targeted by any of these schemes, even without losing a single dollar, report it to the Federal Trade Commission at reportfraud.ftc.gov and to your bank's fraud department directly. Every report you submit adds to the documented case record that drives the same type of legislative response that produced the laws passed in Indiana, Tennessee, and Minnesota during 2026. Step 6. Place a free security freeze on your credit file with all three major bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. This does not affect your credit score in any way and costs nothing to do, but it prevents anyone from opening a new account in your name using stolen personal information, which is often the second wave of financial damage following an initial fraud incident. Step 7. Ask your bank whether the tellers at your specific branch are trained to ask questions when a senior customer requests an unusually large cash withdrawal. Many banks have adopted internal delay and disclose policies specifically for this purpose, meaning a bank employee is permitted to slow down a transaction and ask a few clarifying questions if something about the situation feels off. Even if you appear completely calm and certain about what you are doing, knowing this policy exists in advance means you will not be caught off guard or feel embarrassed if a teller asks why you are withdrawing a large sum of cash. They are not being intrusive or nosy. They may be the only thing standing between you and a permanent and unrecoverable financial loss. You built everything you have over an entire lifetime, and that is precisely why it is being targeted. Not because you are considered an easy mark, but because you have something genuinely worth protecting. These schemes are effective because they are carefully designed to feel urgent, deeply personal, and completely official all at once, arriving at the exact moment when you are least prepared to slow down and question what is being asked of you. The 5 rules and 7 steps covered in this video exist specifically to give you that critical pause so that the next time one of these calls arrives or the next time a stranger offers to help you at an ATM, you already know exactly what to do without having to work it out under pressure and in real time. Knowing precisely how all 5 of these schemes operate is what makes you the most difficult target in the room. And it is the same knowledge that extends protection to everyone in your life who may not have had the opportunity to watch this video.